People always say healthy. You should have healthy relationships.
Healthy!
What the heck does healthy mean? Does it mean I should be dating broccoli or something? Nah, but for real, how do we actually build healthy into our relationships? Do you feel safe and secure in the relationship? Do you feel like the relationship is somewhere where you can mature and grow and become a stronger individual? Is it a relationship where you can be fully yourself? Well, that's what this video is all about. Avoiding those sucky, toxic relationships and building healthy, strong ones. So without further ado, here are 10 of the best ways to make your relationships healthier. Number 1, nothing is too small to talk about. You might think, oh, it's not a big deal and I don't want to make a big fuss about it, but how do you think those big issues come up anyway? It's the small things that add up over time. Those little annoyances that you just sweep under the rug, that's what causes the big stuff. There are literally sayings about this. The straw that broke the camel's back, dying of 1,000 paper cuts. Little things pile up, they aren't addressed, and the relationship falls apart. And you're left wondering, where did it all go wrong? Because you can't pinpoint one thing that made the relationship fall apart, because it was a million small things. The same way that you have to vacuum and do the dishes and mow the lawn to keep your house clean, talking about the small stuff is like the chores of the relationship. Usually they aren't the most fun. And sometimes they happen at inconvenient times, but they gotta be done. And both of you gotta have the patience to talk about the small stuff. When you bring something up, when they bring something up, might be once a day, might be a couple times a week, but it's gotta be done. Number 2, have patience for stuff being brought up more than once. Sometimes your partner might bring up the same thing multiple times. Instead of getting upset or annoyed that they aren't over it yet, invite them in. Find a solution together, because the one that you came up with before was clearly insufficient if they're still bringing it up. Remind each other that it's you guys against the problem and not the problem between you guys. You'll be grateful if your partner does this if ever you're the one who brings up something more than once. Number 3, never go to sleep upset at each other. There's nothing worse than going to bed and just feeling like, oh, things are bad with the person that you love so much. And there's nothing better than having them in your arms before sleeping. Let's be honest, most times in the relationship, it's not going to be those massive problems that take cool down time, or, I need to think till the next day and I need to get my emotions under control. Like, if the norm is massive fights where you guys need breaks from each other, maybe instead of a break, you should try a breakup. With someone who's good for you, you'll still have your little kerfuffles or whatever, but they'll be workoutable that day. So don't leave stuff till tomorrow. Don't leave stuff hanging. Number 4, love isn't a state. It's a practice. Love isn't something like an instant download where you just go on the app store, find your perfect partner, download them, and then bam, you got them forever. Love is something you have to put work into every day. It's a skill that needs to be learned, and it's not even the same skill for everybody that you're going to be with in your whole life. Don't expect to know exactly how to love each other after just having met or being together for a little bit. It takes time to learn how to love the person that you're with. You'll have to compromise, and you'll have to find or create middle ground where it may not have existed before.
Compromise.
Just as you should compromise for them, they should be willing to put in the work and compromise for you. You gotta be worth each other's time. Here are 3 simple steps for finding someone who is worth your time. Step 1, figure out what makes you feel loved. You gotta know what you want, or else you won't know what to avoid. Step 2, figure out things that you would be happy or willing to do that would make another person feel loved. Step 3, only date in a serious way people that make you feel loved and people who feel loved by what you do. In a nutshell, the person you're with should feel loved by what you do, and you should feel loved by what they do. If you guys don't make each other feel loved, you might be with the wrong person. Now, it might be really hard to find somebody who's perfectly compatible with you and does all the things that make you feel loved and feels loved by all the things that you do. But if you find somebody who's willing to work at it with you, that's just as good, because then you don't have to start from 100%. You can start from, okay, I do 60% of what you want, and they do 70% of what I want. I'm gonna learn that 40, and they can learn that 30, and you guys grow to 100 together. If you want a deep, meaningful connection with somebody and have real love, and you're not at least willing to put in half the work, this video is just not for you. Life is hard, love is hard, both are worth it. You gotta be able to put in the work for what matters. Number 5, make them feel important. Compliments, compliments, compliments. If you are not dating someone complimentable, you are probably dating the wrong person. Like, come on, you can't call each other beautiful a couple times a day or be like, oh, I love that shirt on you. Some really underrated ones are complimenting them on stuff they do instead of just on their looks. Being like, oh, I love the way you did that, instead of, oh, I love how you look today. Or complimenting them on a behavior they did that you liked. That reinforces that behavior. If you compliment them after they do something, they're probably more likely to do it again. You gotta date someone who makes you feel like complimenting them. Another thing with making them feel important is putting them first. People love feeling like they were the first choice. That means you gotta put time into them. You should be seeing your partner often and choosing them over other things. It means seeing friends or family a little less. And you might be thinking that I'm setting you up to be called a simp or something. I don't see anybody in a committed relationship calling somebody else a simp. So why are you worried about the disses of single people who have never known love on how to be in a committed long-term relationship? We ain't got time for no nonsense here. So get that out of here. And I'm not saying to only see your partner, but choose to be with someone who makes it easy to put them first. Number 6, limit how often you put yourself in scenarios that would risk the relationship. If you're in a relationship and you care that the other person feels secure, you've got to actively contribute. Constantly putting yourself in situations where you could be approached, like going to the club or going to a bunch of parties all the time, it's not the best look. It's not just about trust. It's about respect and consideration. When you're out there alone, it can send the wrong message, even if your intentions are pure. You guys can absolutely go have a blast together and do all the partying you want as a team. If you have to be making anybody jealous, you should be making other people jealous of your partner, not your partner jealous of other people. If you're still putting yourself out there as if they aren't your only option, trust me, they'll pick up on that. And when that happens, they may start wondering if they should start exploring their options too. Number 7, do not talk badly about your partner to other people. You are dating your partner and your partner is dating you. You aren't dating each other's parents or siblings or friends. You're dating each other. If you are dating each other's friends and family, I think you've got problems this video just can't help you with. Picture this. You guys had an argument and now you're venting to your friends about your frustrations or your annoyances with your partner. Your friends are going to be supportive, of course, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds so sucky, or something way worse, honestly. You're just going to be there becoming more angry. Your anger is going to become magnified by the opinions of people who are only seeing a tiny fraction of your relationship with this other person. You've given them a small slice of what's going on in your relationship, and their opinions are based on that slice instead of the whole cake. And their advice will reflect that. The only two people in this relationship should be you guys, unless you guys have agreed otherwise. Do not let other people in. Your relationship is nobody else's business but you and your partner. You guys have a problem, you resolve it with each other. Here's a tip for people who have friends who shit talk or vent about their partners to them often. Don't enable them. A good friend knows when something is their business and when something isn't. Don't reinforce this habit of theirs that will leave the relationship in ruins. Next time something like that happens, be like, look, I love that you're comfortable sharing all this with me, but I don't think this is my place. I think you should resolve this with your partner. If they insist on getting advice because they're truly lost, ask them this question. What advice would you give your kid if they were in your situation? Empower them to make their own decisions. Put them in problem-solving mode. Don't prioritize your own ego and need to be the center of attention over your friend's relationship. Number 8, don't assume the worst. This is a bonus that probably only comes from having a healthy relationship. If you know that the other person wants the best for you, they truly have your best interest at heart, they love you, they care about you, they're being honest with you, they're being considerate, respectful, you gotta return that goodwill with some of your own. Try to take whatever they say the best way possible. Never assume the worst of them. Don't assume they're out with other people. Don't assume that they've lost interest. Don't assume that they're lying to you. Don't assume they're insulting you. Don't assume that they meant the worst possible thing by what they said. Sometimes in life we say things that can sound really wrong or can sound really bad, but that's not what we meant at all. It's literally called a misunderstanding. It happens all the time. And if you assume the best in a relationship that's healthy, you can just avoid the negative parts of the misunderstanding almost every time. I'm sure you'd like it if your partner gave you the benefit of the doubt if you said something that could be interpreted the wrong way. The first step, as in all the other ones, is just finding that right person to begin with. Finding that right person who's willing to work with you, who cares about you, who's not playing games with you, who's not trying to make you jealous, somebody who's in it to make a healthy relationship with you. Number 9, don't keep score and don't hold grudges. If you want to ruin a perfectly good relationship, just start keeping tabs on who did what. Keeping score creates a competitive atmosphere, and that's just the last thing you want in a loving relationship. Oh, you bought flowers last week? Well, I did the laundry twice this month. Sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Instead, focus on forgiving and moving forward. When conflicts arise, and they will, try to resolve it without dragging the past into the mix. Number 10, find somebody who is willing to work with you. Save the most important for last. You might have noticed a common theme inside this video. At the end of most of the other steps, I said something along the lines of, you gotta find the person who makes you, and you gotta find the person who makes it easy to. And it's because the key to this is finding somebody who's willing to learn and grow with you. Someone who is willing to make mistakes and forgive you for yours. Somebody who will stay when it's easier to walk away. Nobody's perfect. Perfect isn't real. Throw it out the window. You're flawed, I'm flawed, your parents are flawed, your friends are flawed. The gods we invent are flawed. You and every partner you ever have will both make mistakes, and all your relationships will fall apart if you're not willing to work at it with each other. You guys have to be willing to forgive, accept, embrace, and adore. If and when you guys find somebody who's worth fighting for, don't let them go. Don't take them for granted. Don't lose sight of what it is you found. Keep your eyes on the ball and don't give up. Love won't always make you feel good, but it's about the realest thing we've got. All right, that's a buffalo chicken wrap for today. Make sure to check out my last video on how evolution makes you care what people think about you. If you like this video, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and make sure to let me know down in the comments too what kind of videos I can make in the future. Peace out. See you in the next one.